Hello everyone, it's Sandy here from the Curtain Boutique. I hope you're all doing well. In this week's tutorial, we're going to be making Roman blinds on a budget. So my daughter's bought this pair of curtains and they cost her £10. They're blackout curtains. They've got a lovely reverse contrast fabric as well. So we're going to use that as the lining, and then we're going to have the blackout lining sandwiched in between the two pairs of fabric. As you can see, that's the lovely lining on the reverse, which is really pretty. And I'm just getting it all prepared. I'm cutting off the top and the sides so that we're just left with the fabric. We're also going to be doing something a little bit different with this blind. We're going to put what's called an attached pelmet on the top. So I'll show you that a bit later on. So here's the fabric. This is the main fabric, the main larger print, and the smaller print is going to be on the reverse of the blind, and then the blackout lining at the back is going to be sandwiched in between the two of them. Right, so now I'm going to fold over about 7 centimetres here. I will cut it back, but it's just easier to fold over a little bit more than what you need to begin with. I'm also going to be following the pattern so that, you know, we're nice and straight on one side, and then it will keep the other side really nice and straight. So now that one side is all pinned and pressed, I'm now going to do the finished width, making my way all the way to the top of the blind. Right, so now it's time to do our rod pocket pleat. So I'll position the ruler at the bottom of the blind. Obviously it looks like the top, but it's actually bottom because I flipped it over, and I'm just going to mark about 3 little marks, and then I will join that together, and that will become our sewing line for our first rod pocket. So once we've made our faint line with our pencil or invisible pen, we can just go along on that line and place our pins quite close together. So now we've moved our work up, so we're on to the second rod pocket. So when we're making our marks, try and make them so that they're in line with the pins above, so that we can keep all our pins in line with each other so that the actual blind can stay flat. And then we join our dots together and make our marks for our pins to go on the second one. Once you've made your line, bring the work a little bit nearer to you so that your rod pocket amount is only 1.5 centimetres, and then put your pins in again along your mark using your flat-headed pins. So again, we're going to move our work away from us, bring it forward and get it all nice and flat. And then we're going to do our finished drop of our third rod pocket. You might have to go around the other side of your table and check that the actual steel rule is on the bottom, because it gets harder as you get sort of further away from it to make your mark. This is our third one. So we just do the same thing and join the dots together. Bring it towards you, make sure your rod pockets are 1.5 centimetres width rather, and then pop your pins in along that line using your flat-headed pins, of course. Okay, let's start sewing our rod pockets. So I'm going to start the top one. It's quite thick, this blackout lining, much thicker than I thought it was going to be. Right, okay, so go in about 1 centimetre, put your foot down, put your needle down, and then come forward a little bit, go back a bit, and then forward, and just follow your line. It's very important that you get this very, very accurate. You nearly get to the end, like there. One more as you go a bit more. Then go back. Then cut. That's the first one done. Now I'm going to do them all, give it a good press, and then start getting the main blind made up in terms of its size and get it ready for this lining. So I'm just now cutting away anything I don't need, and I'm actually just following this pattern, as you can see, to make it nice and neat. And I shall do the same amount the other side and follow the pattern on the other side too. Right, I'm just doing the bottom now. I've done the sides, and I'm turning up about 8 to 10 centimeters at the bottom. Mark out where my finished drop's going to go, and then obviously because I'm doing a palmet for this blind, I have to add on the front of the palmet and the back of the palmet as well. So I will probably allow about 10 centimeters for my palmet and then add on another 10 centimeters. So I'm just getting it all sort of flat and correctly positioned at the sides so that we've got equal sides showing. So once I've got it all in position, I'm then going to make sure that the lining and the face fabric are all sandwiched in together, just to double check it all fits nicely. Then I shall get my steel rule and just go along and check that the bottom pleat is correct, because obviously once that pleat is correct, I know all the rest of them are going to be correct. Tucking up over the first two pleats, because I'm going to start in the middle of the blind, and I'm going to be using this thread that I've found that matches the blind really well. You always start with the blind in the middle, as in locking in the stitches in the middle of the blind. So say you've got 4 rod pockets, start on the second one, and then you do the 2 and the first one, and then you go around the other side of the bench and you do the 3rd and then the 4th one. So we're starting on the second one. I always start from the left hand side and work my way across, picking up a little bit in between my pin, you know, just kind of in line with the 10 centimeters, pulling it out. It seems to have got stuck on the other pin next door. There's quite a big knot there. I don't know what's happened there, but it doesn't matter because you're not going to see it. And then go through again, pick up just a few fibers. And it's very difficult because this fabric is so thin, but I don't want to pick up too much because you'll see it because it's so thin. And then go back into this again, back into the lining. And while you're going in, push your needle through your loop, make a loop, and then that will give you a little knot that will keep that from moving. Okay, so then you go on to your next pin. So take that out, go into your lining. You're only going into the bottom part of the lining as well, because this rod pocket will hide this hole, so you won't see holes through your fabric when you've got your blind up, which is what you don't want. So pick up a bit of the fabric and then go back in. Go through your loop to make a little knot, and then I'm just going to go through it once more for luck. Try not to pull too tight as well, because you don't want to see any sort of marks when it's up. And if you go too tight, you'll see lots of little locking in stitches, and it's not a good look. Okay, pick up a weeny bit there and go through your lining again. Okay, one more. Go in one more and then lock it out. And I might just do one more because it's the end. And then do your loop. and then that is done. Okay, now that we have those two bottom rod pockets locked in, I'm now going to go round to the other side of the blind. Now we've got our pins up to here, which we did at the beginning to keep that in place, and also to, you know, so that we know which ones we've done. So we pull this back, and now we're going to do the other two. Let's get and mark our locking in points. So we have our 10. Now I'm just going to use a pencil here, because it just seems a bit easier. 10 the other side, and then 31.6. Just putting little marks just so I know where to put my stitches. And now we're ready to lock that in. So I've done my finished job, and I've turned over my palmet, and I've allowed for my Velcro so that the actual top of the blind is literally the width of the Velcro from the bottom of the palmet. So when I position my Velcro in a minute at my machine, I will allow for my Velcro, which will add to my finished job. So from the top of the Velcro, when you position the actual blind round to the front, the drop will be correct then, because you've added on the bit of Velcro for your drop, if you get what I mean. I hope that makes sense. So I thought I'd just have a little chat with you, because I don't think I've ever done this face-to-face chat, and I thought it would be nice for you to put a face to a name and see the girl behind the camera. Girl, woman, I still feel like a girl. I think you always feel like young inside. Well, I do anyway. You know, I don't want to get old. But, you know, happens to us all. I'm going to be 60 this year. Can't believe it. 60. I'm like, whoo. My daughter is 40 at the end of the week, and we're having a nice party for her. I just can't believe she's going to be 40. And she's very young at heart. She's just... oh, she's wonderful, my daughter. In fact, all my girls, I've got 3. I've got one who has autism, and she's 24, and she is just fantastic. She has her moments, but she's funny. She says things that are just innocent and funny, and she just brings so much joy to my life. But, you know, obviously sometimes she brings challenges, but, you know, we all have challenges, so it's part of life, isn't it? And then I've got another daughter who's my middle daughter. It's my little ray of sunshine, and oh, she's just wonderful. She's very spiritual, but then so is my oldest. My oldest is very, very spiritual and has so many gifts, and she helps me a lot with this channel. And she's going to be getting involved in a few things in a couple of weeks, where I'm going to be talking about how to run a business, things that you can use to help you, and all that kind of thing. And she's lovely. I mean, she's my best friend. We're like so close. And yeah, she's going to be getting involved more and more in the channel. And she's very clever. Like she does the most incredible videos. She really does. I'm so proud of her. And yeah, and my middle daughter is going to be doing a caring role in life, where she looks after people with special needs and things, and something quite exciting that I'm hoping she'll do. So yeah, that's my life. I've got 3 girls, and I'm on my own. I'm happy on my own as well, very happy. I love my work. I love everything soft furnishings and making everything really beautiful. Just love it, you know. So I just thought I'd say hello, come on camera, and just going to have my coffee, and then we'll get back to the task in hand. So it's lovely to talk to you all. I love your messages, by the way. I just love them. They bring so much happiness to me. Just the kind of things that you all say. I'm just so grateful, and you know, so I'm really thanking you from the bottom of my heart for your lovely comments, and keep them coming, because we can all do with lovely comments and being kind to each other. So yeah, anyway, let's get on. Right, so we've got the bottom to quickly do, and I'm just turning it under, sandwiching it, all the pieces together, and doubling it up. Right, so I'm just going to pin this bottom bit in place, ready to sew it, and then I'll be doing all my hand sewing. Right, so we're just doing a bit of sewing now along the side. I will start at the top and work my way down. Obviously buried my knot underneath and come out on the edge as I usually do, and then I'm just picking up about 1/2 centimetre, and it's very hard to pick up this fabric because it's very thin, and I have to keep checking that I haven't gone all the way through. But I'm literally going to go all the way around doing this stitch where I go through the fabric underneath and out through the lining on the very edge, and it's taking a while. If I didn't align this fabric, it would have been much easier and it would have looked better, but you know, hey ho, it is on a budget as well, so you know, we don't want to spend a fortune, but it has got nice blackout lining, so it does make a difference. But I shall carry on all the way around now. I shall close the rod pockets this side, and then the bottom bar piece at the side I will close this side, and then leave the other side open for getting all the rods in, and then I will close those once I put the rods in. I'm just going to quickly show you how to do the rod pocket. So I'm literally just going to go in, hold on to the little tail, and then do a couple of stitches at the side, and this will close off each rod pocket channel, and that's what I'll do on all of them. Well, I'll do these 4 first, and then the bottom bar, and then I'll just carry on sewing as I go along. And then the other side, I'll keep them open, and then obviously once I've got the rod pockets all in, I'll then close them exactly the same way that I'm doing now. I'm going to do this little piece at the side. I thought I'd stop and show you how I do this. I've got to the end of the side of where I'm doing my hand stitching, and I take that pin out there, just make sure that that piece there is tucked in so we don't see any pieces sticking out, and then go under that fabric there, but don't go through to the face, and pick up a piece of the bottom, and then go this way and do a little stitch, go under again, and then pick up that corner piece there. Just make sure we haven't gone through anywhere, which is fine. Just tuck that in again, just a weeny bit more. Squeeze those two together so it doesn't come back out again, and then go under through this piece again where we just came out of, and then give that a bit of a pull, not too tightly, and then go through that channel again, making sure you don't come out the other side, and then keep going along here with very tiny little stitches. Can you see what I'm doing? Just closing it, tiny little stitches. Very difficult not to go through because this fabric is so thin. Okay, now we can see these little stitches there, but that's from the ready-made curtain which I've just used. I mean, if this was for a client, I would probably have cut that away, but because it's for my darling Annabelle, she's not going to mind that being on the back. My girls don't mind about things like that, you know. They're just grateful to have the things I make, because I make stuff for all of them. I'm just about to make some lovely curtains for my daughter, my oldest, who's the one that does all the videos, so give her a mention next time you want to comment, because she does such a beautiful job, and I'm so grateful to her. So bless her heart, I try and help her as much as I can, and she helps me, and she's a darling. Right, okay, now we're going to start on the bottom. Now I'm going to go in underneath, near to the end, because I don't want my knot to be seen. So that'll get hidden in there, and then come out right on the edge, and then continue with your stitching. This stuff is not easy to sew because the blackout lining is also quite thick, so you either got the really thin stuff or the really thick stuff. Now I'm just doing little stitches here along so that you can see what I'm doing. So again, I'm going under the lining and coming out on the end of the hem. keeping the stitches fairly small. It's quite a time-consuming thing, this. Make sure I haven't gone through. And then we'll just carry on going all the way along. Right, so I've got to the end of the blind, and I'm just going to literally cast off here. So I'm just going to go my last stitch under this thin piece at the side. I'm just going to literally put a couple of really strong stitches in the bottom here, in the corner. Very small stitches, like, be careful you don't go through to the face because you don't want to see any stitches. So that I've got my little channel to thread my bottom bar into, like that. And it will go sort of underneath that piece of fabric there, will go in there. Okay, so I'm now going to turn the blind around and sew this side, the other side, and then I'll start putting all the hardware in. Right, okay, we've got the hardware, so we've got the bottom bar, and I always cut the bottom bar about 2 centimetres or 3 centimetres less than the actual width of the blind, so that, you know, you've got a chance to sort of like close it properly without it sort of sticking out, you know. Same with the rods. These are the fiberglass rods, and in this case we're using 4. So let's put these in. And this should be cut exactly to size, which it is. And then obviously I'm going to slip stitch this closed. And now we're going to put the rods in. And when you're putting the rods in, just press that down to form a little circle so you can kind of get it in. We'll give it a press, form a little circle, twist, and then it will go in nicely. Markers there because we did it in the contrast colour, which probably was a good idea. So I'm going to show you how I do this then. So I go in right where that mark is, so that's my 10 centimetres. Let me just double check, and that's spot on. So we go in, make sure our cotton isn't stuck under our iPad. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then catch the cotton before it goes through, and then go in a couple of times to secure that on. Again, you're right in front of me, so it's quite tricky for me. Okay, and then twice. So once we've got on, we can then lose that little tail. Go into our ring and then attach it sort of like that for now, and then we're going to do three stitches in, and it's going to stick at the end like it always does because it's annoying. 2, 3. Try and go through the cord to make the loop, because that strengthens it. Okay, so we've gone through 3, turn the ring upwards and go round the ring 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go through again with the ring upright 3 or 4 times, however many you feel. Just feel how strong it is, and then you can just decide how many you want to go through, but I think 3 will be fine. And then on the last one, do yourself a loop, go through the loop, like, you know, so let me pull you back so you can see what I'm doing. So there's the loop, go through the loop. And again, that will strengthen it. And then we're ready to cut. And that is our first ring. And we do them all like that. So we've got quite a few to do. So I'm going to get on and do those. And then we're at the end. Right, I'm going to position my lovely little trim that I've chosen on the edge of the pelmet. I'm going to have a little bit to tuck around the back, but I'm going to actually just sew this on by hand. Okay, so I've finished sewing the lovely little pelmet, the little fringing at the top. So I'm now going to show you how to attach the track. Now, this is a corded track. It's what we call a cartridge Roman blind track. We have these corded barrels which hold the cord, and the cord is wrapped around these barrels, which makes the blind go up and down. So on this occasion I've put 4 sets of rings in because you have to have certain distance between each barrel. So obviously I start with the 10 centimeters at the side. So with my Velcro on the reverse, I'm going to marry it up with the Velcro on the track, and I'll just put this on the very end of the track. So I'll sort of position it like that and make sure that we're covering the very top. This is the reason why I always set my Velcro down a little bit, because the track has about 1/4 of a centimetre before the actual male Velcro starts. So I want to make sure that I do the same with the female Velcro. So as I'm going along, move you along so you can see. Obviously I'm going to keep putting the Velcro on the track. Right, so we've got to get all the cords in line now with the rings. As you can see, that's the first ring, so I've got to make sure that that's in line with that. And then once we've got them in line, we can press that down, and that clips the barrel in place, which means the barrel will not move. So obviously we don't want it to move. And then we do the same, this one. And once that's in place, we can then press that one. So the first one can now be threaded. I'll do the first 2 that are clipped in place. So where I can reach, I'll just thread that and then thread the next ring and then just throw it over there. So I have to go around the other side and do the other ones. Okay, and then thread that one and then throw that over there. So obviously thread that and then thread this bottom one here, and then thread that one and this one. These are a bit longer because the others were damaged, so I had to change these cords on these barrels. So because there's a bit of a mess going on at this cord, and it's not very sort of like flat, and it's probably going to get stuck in the little orb, I'm going to cut that across just to make it nice and blunt so that it will then thread through much easier. So squeeze your little orb and then thread it through, and then you've got it there, and then pull it just so that it's not putting any pressure on the rod pocket. Let's do the other one. I'll probably just trim that little end as well. And then just gently put that on. Now this one doesn't need trimming. and then cut it so that it's at the bottom of the blind. Squeeze your little orb through the little hole and then pull it up in line with your ring. Just do it a little bit more there. That's it. And then trim at the bottom here. Just trim it to sort of like just before the bottom. Okay, so that is the cording and the track. So now all it leaves us to do is pull it up and see what it looks like. So let's do that. Right, so that is your blind and your stepped pleats with your little pelmet, and the total cost of this blind was 42 quid. 42 pounds. How amazing is that? Quite unbelievable, isn't it, guys? If you do it yourself and you get cheap curtains, bit of lining, bit of interlining or whatever, you can make things look beautiful. So, and that even includes this trim, because it was really cheap on Amazon, so I can give you a link to that if you want some, or I can let you have some of mine. I've got loads of it. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you next week. Take care, guys. Lots of love. Bye.